there's a lot of things that are happening in our society today that people need advice. People need to understand that there's different ways to de-escalate situations. There's different ways to protect yourself and the people around you, but there's also different ways of helping people. And you don't know those ways unless you listen. And tomorrow's going to be a good opportunity for people in Windsor to really listen to some experts when it comes to de-escalation.
What does it say about our downtown that we now need to think outside of our role as owning a restaurant or serving at a restaurant to sort of almost like a policing type role, being able to deal with some of the conflicts that are happening?
Well, I don't think it's specific to our downtown or any area. That's just the way it is. You know, I walked in here this morning and the doors are locked. You know, like society's different. And rather than hide inside your homes and think that the apocalypse is coming, you're better off educating yourself and learning about what's really happening out there. And tomorrow's a good opportunity for everyone to understand that.
Do you think things have changed downtown where this is now more important?
No, I think it was always important. I think if we would have had this 20 years ago, things would be different now. You know, if we would have started listening to the experts 20 years ago, downtown would be a much different place. But, you know, we took downtown for granted, and we didn't do the things that we should have done to really help with the situations that were happening back then. They were different situations, some of them still similar, but if we would have listened a little bit more a long time ago, we'd be in a better place now. So now that I'm in the position I'm in, I think it's great that we're able to take advantage of the experts that are around us and really listen to some people that know how to deal with some situations rather than the traditional way or not dealing with them at all.
And Tamara, your background includes work in the restaurant business, but you're also in charge of the Windsor Youth Centre several years ago. That's when I first met you. You worked with youth on the streets. What kind of need do you see for instruction like this?
Well, what I'm going to be focusing on is the importance of our perception of our own safety, which is different than actual danger or safety that's present. And why our perception of our own safety is important is because when we perceive ourselves to be safe, we act differently. We see more possibilities in front of us. We're less likely to be reactionary. We're more likely to be rational and make better decisions. And the most exciting thing for me about that is that our perception of our own safety does not depend on the absence or presence of danger. What it depends on is connection, how connected we feel to one another, to ourselves, to our environment. For example, if a child has a nightmare and cries out for their mom or dad, they'll feel much safer if mom and dad gives them a hug than if mom or dad just yells from, the living room like, it's okay, there's nothing to be afraid of, right? And everybody knows that. That's why we have weighted blankets. It gives us a sense of connection. So the key for me is to emphasize that connection is where we perceive ourselves to be safe. And when we perceive ourselves to be safe, we make better decisions.
So take that to, the talk is about downtown. So that's why I keep referring to downtown. Okay, just make sure that you're not misunderstanding where I'm coming from. But I'm thinking, take that to downtown as a business owner. Are you saying connect with the people on the streets, get to know your neighbors so that you feel a sense of belonging and so that there's a sense of relationship happening? Is that, or am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, and what's really awesome is that people who work in restaurants, bars, and hotels are already experts at that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing the jobs that they're doing, right? And I've been waitressing and bartending all of my adult life. I have exactly 1 second when I meet a new customer to make them feel comfortable, right? Or to sense if they're comfortable or not. And so anybody who has been in the hospitality industry for, more than 2 months and can survive knows how to do that inherently. What I'm hoping to do tomorrow night is to kind of maximize and provide a language for people to really consolidate the knowledge and information they already have.
And is that what you're calling compassionate inquiry?
That's what Gabor Mate calls compassionate inquiry plus. So Gabor Mate is a really well-known expert on trauma, childhood trauma especially, and how it results oftentimes in mental illness or mental challenges, including addiction. And he's worked on Vancouver's East End for many, many years. And I am a compassionate inquiry practitioner and educator. So I am now qualified to teach that modality. And I practice as a life coach, not as a psychotherapist.
Okay, so you're teaching people to become more compassionate and relational. Is that? I misunderstood.
Ideally.
Okay.
And primarily compassionate with ourselves.
Right. If you don't love yourself, who else are you going to love? Isn't that what the saying is?
Well, and when we're judgmental of ourselves, now we're providing ourselves with an environment of danger. And when we perceive ourselves being in danger, we go into fight or flight. And everyone knows fight or flight mode is not where we make our rational decisions. So being compassionate to ourselves essentially means that we're making our environment safer.
What other experts are going to be speaking tomorrow?
Well, we have Stephen Somerville coming from, he's going to be zooming in from Toronto. And I met Stephen, prior to my life in politics, I was in the hospitality events business. And Stephen is an expert when it comes to security in big events. He's done work for Live Nation, MLSE, all over the place. So he's really an expert when it comes to the do's and don'ts, and his presence. And there's going to be such a great balance of security versus de-escalation and compassion in this conversation. I feel anyway. His expertise came into play. Part of where this started was I'm still part of group chats, like Facebook group chats with all the hospitality industry downtown, and the security industry downtown also has a group chat. And somebody put out a message a few weeks ago. It says, actually, name is Moose, puts out a tweet, says, listen, why don't we start a banned list for, people that continuously cause issues downtown? Why don't we start a ban list across all the hospitality industry where we can identify those individuals that continue to be nuisances at different places? And then everyone was kind of like, well, how do we do that? How do we put this together? And then I chimed in. I said, well, we should all get together and have this discussion. So Stephen comes in from that perspective. Then Barry Horvin from Windsor Police is the master when it comes to SEPTED training, environmental design, things you can do. So we're really bringing a lot of key people together. And, for me, it's all people that I've worked with and I've known. Like Tamara's expertise is every time I'm my head's stuck in a jam of where I want to go with a certain situation, I give her a call and I say, Tamara, what do you think? Because, she told me this story once about the third person. When you see someone on the streets that makes you feel uncomfortable, what's missing is that connection, right? There's somebody missing there. And if we can establish that connection, a lot of those issues that we see downtown wouldn't be issues, because that's what's missing is that connection. And when I heard her speak to me about that, it really resonated with me, and it's something that I'm looking to pursue.
I noticed that when I moved here, there wasn't a lot of people downtown at that time, but everyone would apologize and say please before they asked anything of me. And I thought, this is a different population. I wasn't used to the kind people on the streets. And I think sometimes, again, it comes to that perception, but my perception was my past experience, which was a sense of insecurity and fear. And here I have someone coming up to me saying, excuse me, would you happen to have any change, please? And I'm like, oh, actually, I don't have any money. And they're like, okay, no problem, thank you. And I'm thinking, where did I just move to that this is actually happening? And then I got to know their names, because we are downtown here, and you sort of get to know their names and you say hi to them, and there is that personal connection that you're talking about. Now, through the years, I feel like that's sort of been a bit lost. We see more people downtown and not the same characters of the downtown. Has that been your experience, Tamara?
Well, I actually don't spend tons of time. Well, that's not true. I am downtown quite often. I actually offer sessions through the REACT program at the Downtown Mission once a week. So I'm quite familiar with a lot of people, and a lot of people know who I am. So I typically feel quite safe wherever I go, because there is that connection, right? There is a relationship established. That's not to say that people shouldn't trust their gut instinct and be cautious when, their hairs go up on the back of their neck. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, establishing relationships with the people in our direct, immediate environment, I don't think is ever a bad idea.
Yeah. I want to keep having this conversation, unfortunately, and we need to wrap because of time, but I do appreciate you guys coming into the studio. Thank you so much.
And everyone's welcome
Thank
to come
you.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'd be great to have more people there.